Okay. Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us for the Heights Council Forum for Ward C and D. Over 70,000 people live in our neighborhoods, so this is important. My name is Matthew Masiello, your moderator this evening, and I'm a small business owner in Jersey City Heights, an educator in Hudson County, and I'm also raising a family here in the neighborhood too. With us, you have your host, Philippia Vartstra from Jersey City Heights Parents, who'll be managing the slides and keeping time. Jersey City Heights Parents is a local volunteer group that fosters family-focused community engagement throughout the Heights, helping parents stay informed, connected, and civically active. Brendan Duhan is president of the Riverview Neighborhood Association, one of Jersey City's oldest and most consistently active neighborhood associations. RNA works to build community pride, advocate for the neighborhood. Okay. Tonight's forum brings candidates for City Council in Ward C and D. We will talk a bit about Election Day, walk through who is running in each race, then dive into our forum format of opening statements, 8 moderated questions, and then our closing statements. Jersey City is entering a new phase, and the direction of our city will be shaped by the priorities, leadership style, and collaboration of the next mayoral administration and council. The questions tonight are designed to help us understand how each candidate plans to respond to the administration's agenda, what they will fight for in their ward, their budget priorities, and how they will work with the community and with the counterpart council member across Ward C and D. One of our goals this evening is to highlight the symbolic unity of Ward C and D, 2 wards that are divided on a map, but one community in the lives of our families, businesses, and daily experiences. Please remember, this is a forum, not a debate. There are strict time limits that will appear on the screen. If additional time builds over the course of the forum, we will be more relaxed in letting you finish out your thoughts. Please keep your comments respectful. Election Day is Tuesday. Oh, there we go. Election Day is Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025, next week. There will be no early voting for the runoff. Philippia will post the polling locations link on the chat. In the runoff election, you will only be voting for your next mayor and all 7 council seats. These races will shape our city's next era. Public safety, housing costs, mobility, and quality of life all hang in the balance. Richard Boggiano, incumbent for Ward C, will participate in pre-recorded video submissions that will be aired during his turns. Thank you to the rest of the live candidate participants for your willingness to allow this modification. The 4 candidates and tonight's participants are Richard Boggiano, the incumbent from Ward C, Tom Zupa, Catherine Healy, Jake Efros. Okay. We will now move to opening statements. Each candidate has 2 minutes to introduce themselves, share their background, and highlight one actionable ordinance or initiative they plan to advance in their first 3 months. We will start with Jake. You have 2 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Can folks hear me okay here? Fantastic. Thank you so much for having this other opportunity ahead of the December 2nd runoff to let us speak with the community. So my name is Jake Efros. I'm here in Jersey City Heights. I'm a tenant on Sherman Avenue. I'm a teacher. I adjunct at St. Peter's University and been adjuncting at Hudson County Community College. I'm a former union organizer, and I'm running so that we can tackle the cost of living crisis in Jersey City and to win the quality of life that we deserve. My campaign does not take any money from corporations. We are independent. I'm not a millionaire, self-funding my whole campaign. We're doing grassroots fundraising really from the bottom up so that we can only be accountable to working class people and families in Ward D, not to any big donors. I'm running independent, and I've made it the runoff without any mayor ticket. In this moment of the runoff election, I am cross-endorsed with James Solomon. So one ordinance that I would really love to propose in the first 3 months of being on city council, should I get elected, is to municipalize our trash services. We have a privatized garbage contract with the company Regional Industries that's responsible for our residential trash and recycling services. Over the past 5 years alone, we've paid them almost $80 million of hardworking taxpayers' money to what almost every single neighbor I talk to agrees is a bad job. Now, unfortunately, this isn't going to just happen overnight, but proposing that in the first 3 months so we can have an accountable trash service that actually does a good job up streets and not just contract this out to a company whose executives donate to politicians running for office in Jersey City. This is a priority of ours, and we're going to make sure we get to it. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we're going to go with Catherine, opening statement.
Good evening, Philippia, Matthew, Brendan, Jake, Tom. How's everybody doing? Thank you guys for hosting such a professional event. As you all know, or most of you know, my name is Catherine Healy. I'm here in the Jersey City Heights for 44 years. I'm married with 3 children. I am an attorney. My background is criminal litigation, but now I do labor, employment, and family law. I also volunteer coach at Washington Park Little League for the last 10 years. And I run a nonprofit to send inner city girls to St. Dominic's Academies. I apologize. That's my son coming down. But my first initiative, my first ordinance is going to be that we will remediate these dilapidated and hazardous properties of these absentee corporate landlords. And I did consult with a land use attorney. She is an expert on the issue, Cynthia Hagianis. She said we can legally do this. So this is something that we are going to do. We are going to give that business to a local small business owner to remediate the property. We will then place a lien on that property, and the landlord cannot sell that property until they pay off that lien. So that's going to be my first initiative. Thank you.
Okay, great. We're going to go with Tom's opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. Tom Zupa, running in Ward C. So happy to be here. Thank you for organizing the forum this evening. Happy to share the stage with our live participants, Jake and Catherine. And you know, I'm running with James Solomon now. You may remember in the November election, I ran with Bill O'Day, who I have great respect for, and thought he would have made a great mayor. With myself in the runoff and with James in the runoff, there was a natural fit with our focus on affordability, focus on good government, and quality of life here in Ward C and throughout Jersey City. So I live in Journal Square with my wife and our 5-year-old border collie dog, Kennedy. I am an attorney as well. I work at a firm in Secaucus, having worked for Hudson County as a prosecutor to start my legal career. And now I also do labor and employment law and some municipal defense work. I also have a civic association, nonprofit organization focused on addressing those in the community who get left behind. So senior citizens, families, children, specifically in our minority communities, which get a lot of attention around November or election season, and then get forgotten about the next 4 years. So my focus has been on showing a little extra love, helping families in need around the holiday season, of course, Thanksgiving, and throughout the year. I'm running because Ward C consistently has been left behind on quality of life issues. There's an increase in the cost of living, and our quality of life has consistently declined year after year. And that's whether you live in Journal Square or in the Ward C portion of the Heights. And in this runoff, I would say the choice is clear, or couldn't be clearer, between an old way of doing things and a brighter, more positive future, which we're trying to bring into the city. The first ordinance I would pass, hopefully within 1 month, let alone 3, is something I worked on for the last 3 years, which is mandatory affordability and all new developments throughout Ward C, which is something I want to touch on later as well. But the high cost of living is pushing residents out, including tenants like myself and my wife. But thank you so much, and happy to be here.
Okay, now we're going to hear the pre-recorded statement from Rich Bogiano.
Hi, I'm Rich Borgiano, and I want to thank the Jersey City parents for hosting this program. I want to let you know that I'm a grandfather. I take my grandchildren to school every day here in Jersey City. I've lived in Jersey City for over 52 years, and I want to keep the city the way I knew it. I've watched the city being torn apart over the last 10 years, and I'm tired of it. They're chasing people out of the city, and people can't afford to live here. The rents are too high. Everything is ridiculous. The roads are horrible, and we have to take our city back.
Okay, we're going to start with the first question of the night, which is the ward vision. Say you get elected and reelected for a second term. In your ideal world, what would your ward look like by the end of 8 years under your leadership and partnership with the mayoral administration and other partners? Please touch on key topics such as density, mobility, public safety, and the quality of life. We will start with Catherine. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Matthew. So my vision for Ward D is we have safe and clean streets. Our parks are state of the art. We have splash parks for our children. We can let our children walk the streets without being worried that they're going to get run over by a car. We can cross our streets without breaking an ankle in a pothole, which is what happened to my girlfriend who lives on my block when she was 9 months pregnant with a 3-year-old baby at home. She broke her ankle at 9 months pregnant. So it's not just the cars and the bikers, it's also the pedestrian safety is vital. We will achieve Vision Zero in Jersey City Heights in 8 years. And I now believe that we can accomplish this project. Is an elevated bike lane along Summit Ave, elevated bike and pedestrian lane. Now that the Turnpike project is not happening, thank God that's not happening. Where is all that funding going to go? Where are all those union workers going to go? We build a coalition, we communicate, and we sell this project. We can do it. I did speak to our unions, and they are on board as well. So elevated bike and pedestrian lanes, we're going to do that. We're going to have well-lit streets. We're going to have a police unit that responds when you call them. We're going to have a permits department that is more responsive to the residents than they are to the connected developers. The days of rolling out the red carpet for our developers are done after 8 years of me being in office. We're going to put our residents and families first. Clean air, fresh, clean drinking water, water refill stations to get off of our addiction to plastics. Children and families first. Thank you.
Okay, great. Now we're going to go with Tom.
Great. So taking it to Ward C, and I tend to talk quickly, but there's a lot I want to cover on this topic, so forgive me. Ward C had traditionally been the center of our city, and we're seeing that again too. But we need it to be the heart and bring the energy and a vision for the future. So the future I see is with me as the council person is focusing on our infrastructure. It's working with builders to build new schools so that we keep families here in Jersey City. It means restaurants, bars, investments in our parks, both in Pershing Field, the new Courthouse Park, Sergeant Anthony Park, and having connectivity so that our residents have places to go and green space. The big thing with quality of life is I would love at the end of 4 years, 8 years, however long I'm honored to serve, would be that we can stop saying that downtown gets all the attention and all the services, and that we have a little more equity here in Ward C. After affordability, the next big thing I would push is with DPW having the neighborhood community improvement initiative, where DPW is empowered to clean our streets and focus it. So it's not just advocates going out and doing cleanups weekly with volunteers, but having our city employees given the resources to do the job. In terms of density, we obviously have a housing crisis in the region, and we're not going to just address that here in Journal Square or in Ward C in the Heights. but we do want to build while not losing our neighborhood character. For example, the skyline in Journal Square should look different than the skyline in the Heights because there's two different experiences, right? We have high density around transit hub in Journal Square, but that's not the case in the Heights, where we do have the lower buildings, and we should maintain that. In terms of public safety, we need to see enforcement, revamped 911 dispatch system, the e-bikes out of the North District coming out of the basement and put into service, walking posts, and a response time that is commensurate with the needs of our neighborhood. In terms of mobility, quickly, you need to get point A to point B safely, meaning safe for pedestrians, for seniors, families on the sidewalks. But we need the people on the bikes somewhere, give them somewhere safe to go, which is the bike lane. So I'm always sensible about that. And then having connectivity between our parks and other parts of the city.
Okay, now we're going to see Rich Boggiano's video onto this question.
I just want to let you know, one of the most important things to me is open space. We need more parks, and I've been very involved with the county in trying to get the new park here in Journal Square, which I hope we accomplish. I was very involved in trying to get the Reservoir Park, and there's a lot more that has to be done there, but we finally have that beautiful park, the Reservoir Park. I'm so concerned about so many issues here and the neighborhoods, and I've been fighting for the people. I'm a fighter. I'm not a yes person. I've never been a yes person, and I never will be.
Okay, thank you. Your vision?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, clearly, Jersey City, we deserve more. And that is what guides the vision that I'm going to fight for here in Ward D, throughout the Heights, the slopes, and really throughout our city. 8 years from now, should I get the opportunities to serve as your council person for that time, we're going to have class people in charge. That means we're going to be able to have skyrocketing cost of living under control, between rent control and a sensible that calls back the money that we've been forking over to developers through these excessive and egregious tax breaks. Our growing city is not going to include glass skyscrapers in the Heights and the slopes. And it won't just be teardowns of historic homes replaced by million-dollar condos. It will look like vastly expanded, affordable housing with maybe some more dense housing as well that isn't just for the rich. We're going to bring vacant properties to life with a vacancy tax that encourages their actually being used to have great local shops or actually house people, and also by seizing abandoned properties and folding those into scatter site public social housing. Our streets are going to be cleaner and actually have accountable, proactive sanitation with better receptacles. They're going to be safe with structure that prioritizes people, not just cars speeding through red lights, and greener with an expanded tree canopy from Newport to Palisade to Western Ave. Walking up and down Central Ave is going to feel better with fewer blighted shops, less trash, and more outdoor public space, and our neighbors are going to be housed and have their mental health taken care of instead of being forced to sleep out on benches overnight. We'll have freed up parking and traffic congestion by winning great public transit for all of us. We'll have a recreation center for our youth. This is just some of what I want to see in the Heights over the next years. And I know that by coming together as working people, we can for it and we can win it.
Okay. Our next question is going to be in regards to the ward budget priorities and trade-offs. In tonight's council meeting, for example, the Heights neighborhood is potentially losing allocated funding for specific projects, such as the next phase of reservoir improvements and the new Jersey City Police Department North District headquarters that are being reallocated to a general fund. What are 2 to 3 capital investments you would prioritize for your ward? Conversely, what are 2 things you would deprioritize for your ward as proposed investments within the budget? We will start with Tom. You have 2 minutes.
Great. So I'm running on, enforcement of our ordinances, accountability of our city officials, and transparency. When I say transparency, I mean that in the budget process. I think that's a later question, so I'll leave that there. But when I talk about the old way of doing things, that's getting jobs for friends or political hires. And the issue tonight at City Council, where we're losing money or is going to a general fund because we can't fund important projects, That's mismanagement of the budget, and that's what happens when you have someone asleep at the wheel here, in the ward. And I mean that respectfully, but we need someone that's really going to dig into the numbers and fight for us here in Ward C. And that's what you end up with, things being cut. Obviously, service, cleaning the streets, our inspectors to make sure that illegal dumping or other issues we have in the ward is not being addressed, that our parks don't get taken care of, or the fact that we don't have money to fund what the mayor has described as the gem of Ward C, which is the Reservoir 3. And that's the case. So that's something that we should keep open and find resources for, so that we have school trips, continue to enjoy walking around and have recreation, and just a wonderful space in the Heights for our residents. Three things I would prioritize, and again, this gets to connectivity. So having the Lowe's open in Journal Square, entertainment back in Journal Square, will bring business from the Heights and focus on getting Heights residents and Ward C residents jobs in Journal Square. Prioritizing Courthouse Park, which is delayed because the county can't move into its new courthouse because of issues there. So we can't knock down the administration building. Especially residents in the lower Heights can walk right across and use that when it's approved and built. Improvements for Pershing Field. I'd love to see more multi-use of the fields. I support the baseball programs there, and I think there's a way to have baseball and incorporate other sports there as well. Our ward certainly suffers from a lack of arts and recreation programs. In terms of deprioritizing, I had an issue with this, finding an answer for this one, because I feel, and so many of our residents feel, that our ward is left behind anyway, and we've been deprioritized. So I'm not sure that we could be deprioritized further. But I would certainly end the hiring political hires that suck up the energy in our budget.
Thank you, Tom. All right, next we're going to see a video from Rich Boggiano.
First off, city council members should attend the budget hearings. Unfortunately, many of them don't. I'm a full-time council person, and I attend all the budget hearings, and I attend the meetings that are important to the people of Jersey City. And we must keep in mind that if you are not aware of what is going on, it's a shame. So the council should be full-time, should be the only job.
Okay, Jake, you're up.
Thank you. Is my audio okay? Can folks hear me all right now? I know I got feedback that it was a little choppy. Sound all right? Great, thanks. So yeah, with the budget vote tonight, I urge our council to vote no on these reappropriations, these cuts. I put out a statement earlier today to that effect, because this is way too hasty of a grab. A lot of these funds that are desperately needed for the Heights between Ward C and Ward D, where I'm running. A couple of the things that I would really love to prioritize, there's so much obviously that we need to tackle, but some investments that I would love to see. One, we should really have caseworkers who are going up and down, for instance, and meeting unhoused people in our neighborhood where they're at, and making sure they get connected directly to the social services that they deserve. That will make all of us safer and our community as a whole healthier. I'm sitting here in our campaign office on Central Avenue and Sherman Place, and we regularly have neighbors coming in who are in desperate need of getting connected to those social services. In many cases, they just need their hand held by a professional. So investing in caseworkers whose job it is to actually do that would be a real transformative thing for our community. And that, again, is about public safety for all of us. Again, investment in safe street infrastructure is critical, in addition to investing in school crossing guards, hiring more crossing guards, and making sure they get the union contract that they deserve with great benefits, because they are on the front lines, literally, of our kids getting to and from school safely. Lastly, I would also love to see a youth and teen recreation center. I hear parents all the time that we just don't have stuff in the neighborhood for kids to do. So having a youth teen rec center would be fantastic. I feel similar to Tom. There's so much that we want to prioritize. It's going to be tough to have things deprioritized. But we do see a very top-heavy police budget with 18 deputy captains collectively making over $3 million annually, and people are not seeing that public safety on the ground. So looking into that very top-heavy part of the police budget, as a we maybe move money from and bring it to things like those caseworkers, that safe street infrastructure, that rec center, so we can have public safety from the root causes.
Great. Now we're going to go to Catherine.
Thank you, Matthew. So I did reach out to 5 of our council people today, and I personally asked that they please vote no tonight on reallocating our budget and taking our funds away. I understand our current councilman was working on lobbying his colleagues as well to vote no against taking our Heights funding away. So what I would not invest in a new police station. It is going to cost a fortune. The building is historic, it's pre-war, and it's gorgeous. We need to preserve it and figure out how to work around it. We have enough really smart engineers right here in Jersey City who are doing really innovative things with some dilapidated properties. We can figure out the police station on our own. We don't need to knock it down and rebuild. Preservation, preservation, preservation. Number 2, the things that the capital investments I would like to make include renovating Mosquito Park. We have to bring back our kids' sledding hill. We have to bring back the grass that was at the bottom of the hill. We must move those ginormous lampposts that are at the bottom of the hill. We have to install that clean drinking water. We need to install a splash park. If anyone ever sees Leonard Gordon Park in the summertime, it is flooded with toddlers and children and heat waves. So our neighborhood really deserves a splash pad. We need to, we're going to restore those historic bathrooms in Mosquito Park, as I've already said that like 5 times in other interviews. We need to invest in safe streets. How do you do that? We need the blinking stop signs. We need more speed bumps. We need an auxiliary police department to enforce the traffic laws because we don't have any police to do it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, question 3 is about improving the budget process. Do you see any opportunities for improvement in the current budget process to increase transparency and accountability? In Mr. Boggiano's last response for this question, where he urged folks to show up and prioritize the budget, here is what he wants to prioritize from the budget standpoint from Rich Boggiano.
Yeah, in tonight's meeting, the issue of the city trying to pull funding from the North District and from the reservoir, and I spoke out very much so on telling them, no, this cannot happen. Why is it happening? Because the city's in financial trouble. We keep on changing our minds. We pass things and then pull these things back and transfer the money to other issues. No, the people need the park. They need the North District has to be improved or rebuilt, one or the other. So I voted no on this issue, and I will continue to vote no whenever they try to do things like this.
Okay, now we're going to go with Jake on the budget process.
Sure. Yeah, participatory budgeting to be like full and transparent here in Jersey City. Not just open council meetings and sessions with, accessible PDFs. Like, that's all good to make that accessible online for folks. But we need to be proactive as a city. We need to bring people proactively into the process of participatory budgeting. That means organized town halls. It means community meetings where residents can actually be given intelligible briefings that they can latch onto and understand about what's going on in our budget, where money is, where money needs to go, and where money's really struggled. and also just like break down truly department by department salaries and all, so people can have that, again, transparent look into where is our money really being spent, where are our tax dollars really going. Now, as an organizer, a labor organizer before I started teaching, I know how to do this. This is what I've been doing. I know how to put together town halls, turn people out for community meetings. And moreover, when I was organizing with nurses, that looks like bringing nurses together to be involved in the process of contract negotiations and trusting working class people with budget priorities, trusting working class people to make financial decisions that impact them directly. And I think this is what the heart and spirit of participatory budgeting is all about: trusting working class people to go line by line, bring us together so we can actually have a budget that we are able to govern over, not just big corporations squeezing people dry for big tax breaks.
Okay, great. Now we're going to go with Catherine.
Thank you, Matt. I mean, Jersey City is in a budget crisis. We have way overspent. No one has been minding the shop. We are in tremendous debt. Come January 1st, I mean, I believe the number is now at like 200 million, but it's going to go way up because we're not even factoring in the interest debt that we're in. So the next administration is going to have to be extremely frugal. We're going to have to apply for all kinds of grants. We cannot raise taxes any further. People are already struggling enough as it is. And when you raise taxes, it has that terrible ripple effect. There goes the rents even higher. So we have to be frugal. Also, I think it would be a help if the council members were mandated to attend the budget hearings. It's my understanding that the council is not kept abreast of these issues, and they really need to know for their wards. So it would be helpful if we had a mandate ordering the council members to attend the budget hearings. To communicate, why don't we start live streaming the budget hearings so that the public knows what's going on, and they can object, they can put in their 2 cents of, oh, why don't we do this instead? We need to start doing that. Better communication. Thank you.
Great. Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. Having a more participatory budget process is necessary, but I disagree with the councilman's comments and the fact that he needs more people to show up. Obviously, the council people should show up to the meetings, but we need to go, as a council, we need to go to where the people are. In Ward C in particular, we have people working 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet because of the lack of affordability, and we can't expect people to be able to make an evening meeting when if they're not working, they should be they're probably tending to their families or other activities. So we need to open up, have a Zoom option a virtual option for all of our council meetings, specifically, of course, the budget meetings as well. But my intention is to host monthly town hall meetings where the budget will be discussed among other items, and we have full transparency. I think all 3 of us in this room, and it sounds like the councilman agrees as well from his videos, is that the city's financial condition is poor. And if there's ever a need for change in our council and government, it's when the budget is so bad that no one was watching it to have any kind of accountability. So I think that's a great case for the need for change on December 2nd. I would, of course, attend all meetings. In terms of bringing the fact that I, as a lawyer, tend to delve deeply into details on a consistent daily basis. Would want to be involved in the budget process. We also need to vote on the budget earlier, voting in September or at the end of the year for money that was already expended, and then trying to make up when we have issues with police overtime or other departments overspending. Is no way to have a substantial budget or be appropriate with the budget. I remember someone in government said to me, they said, well, there's more capital projects going on in Ward C than anywhere else. I said, but people care about the operating budget. They don't care about operating versus capital. They care about cleaning the streets. And tonight's council meeting is a great example of what happens when the city runs out of money and starts taking money from other capital projects.
Okay. Moving on to our next question. It's going to be on governing principles. The Heights is an extremely diverse community in both thought and priorities. It has dual representation as it is split between wards C and D. On issues ranging from bike lanes to zoning, the community is often split 50-50. In spite of this, residents want to see progress and strong leadership, not stagnation or passing the buck. How will you take action and be a strong decision maker in the midst of this type of challenge? We will start with Jake. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Yeah. Again, we're going to be governing through organizing. That's my background. I'm an organizer, and that's how I will govern as a city council person. My politics is all about building popular support for things that benefit working class people and campaigning to win them. I'm always going to state my beliefs very honestly and transparently on my sleeve, and I know that not everyone is going to agree at first or maybe ever. But I'm going to organize around what I believe in to be the right things for working class people, and also around the things that I hear from the community in terms of the demands for the improvements that are going to make our lives better, right? So I mean, I have no expectation that everyone who votes for me is going to be a democratic socialist like I am. I also know that in November 4th, many people who voted for me were not even Democrats. This is the kind of like diversity of ideology that we have in our community, and I think that's a great thing. That's obviously to be expected. The real work is in making sure that we can popularize the things that are going to be beneficial for our working class community here in the Heights. And again, sound like a broken record, but that's going to look like town halls, community meetings, listening sessions, having an office space on Central Avenue that is this place where people can very accessibly come find the council person, talk to them, get issues met, right? So people respect my campaign, whatever kind of ideology that they may have, whatever kind of vision that they may have. People really have told me they respect my campaign for demonstrating transparent and hardworking leadership, and that's going to be how we govern.
Okay, great. Catherine, your governing principles.
Communication is everything. And I've noticed that in this runoff that there's certain folks who are frustrated that I have not been able to engage with them. And it's not that I have a closed door. I have a very open mind and I'm very accessible. I just haven't been informed of certain events for various organizations, or else I would absolutely be there to engage. I want to hear everybody's ideas. At the end of the day, I firmly believe that we all agree on most issues. And once those ideas are communicated, the whole neighborhood will buy in. All of Ward D will buy in. Like my idea of elevated bike and pedestrian lanes. Everyone is going to buy into that. And it will be a tremendous advantage. You want to talk about reaching Vision Zero? That's the only way to truly reach Vision Zero. And it will bring the Heights to another level. It'll bring the whole city to another level. So communication is everything. You need to hire aides who speak various languages, Gujarati, Tagalog, Arabic, Urdu, because this is Jersey City. Obviously Spanish, but we all speak a little Spanish. So you have to meet the community where they're at. And it's communication is everything.
Okay, great. Tom, your governing principles.
Absolutely. So for me, it's no more passing the buck and blaming others. You want to be in the hot seat. You have to be ready for it when things are great and things are not going so well for the city. So one thing I always say is the ward boundaries are arbitrary in the sense that they're built for voting. Obviously, people that live in the Heights, if you're a block away from Pershing Field, you don't really care if you're in Ward C or Ward D necessarily, because we share the same concerns about the lack of quality of life or improving quality of life getting our streets safer to travel on, and making sure that everyone has an equal opportunity to enjoy the city experience. I fully anticipate having an excellent relationship with the Ward D council person. So I would want to host joint events on issues affecting the Heights, including joint community meetings and getting out ahead of the issue before things become an issue. A lot of what we've seen with the current council is everything's very reactionary. A problem happens, and then we're scrambling to organize or get people together, get to meetings to try to fight back or have a stance when our job is to be out in front of it and to educate the public on what the issues are before there's an issue, before it becomes an issue. My leadership style is to listen to voices, the voices in the community, listen to experts the way I do in my career, and then advocate based on those voices, those expert opinions. Certainly want to solicit opinions for those who can't make the meetings, as I mentioned, so that we're not just listening to those who are able to attend an evening meeting or a weekend meeting, but to go out into the community, have a sense of it, have really my finger on the pulse. And I would try to make the best decision I can based on everyone's opinion, but also what I think internally I think is the best decision based on all the evidence and what I think is best for the ward.
Great. Now we're going to see a video from Rich Boggiano on the governing principles.
Hi. One of the problems here in Jersey City is that decisions are made without consulting the people. For example, tonight we had a developer come before the caucus meeting about a development. And I was at the meeting that was presented about a month ago, and the people were not for it. So they had to go back to the people. They have to explain things. You cannot just come in and say something and do something without consulting the neighborhood, the community, and let the people have their voice heard, because that is extremely important.
Okay. Now we're going to move on to question 5, community engagement and representation. We would like to understand the role that the community will play in shaping your decisions and priorities for the ward. What does listening to the community mean to you? How will you keep residents informed and engaged across demographics and communication styles? How will you coordinate with the council representatives in the other wards for projects touching both wards? We will start with Catherine. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Matt. So listening to the community to me means sitting down with various neighborhood organizations, park associations, and schools, PTA groups, and hearing what their input is. What are their concerns? What is their vision for this neighborhood? What is their vision for this intersection, for this park, for this corner? Everybody needs to buy in, and everybody will buy in. It's just a matter of communicating ideas. And once there's effective communication, we can move forward peacefully. The residents, how do we engage the residents? Now, the seniors many of them don't even have email addresses. So I did an event a few days ago at a senior center. Many of these folks don't have iPhones or Androids. So you can only communicate with them via paper or via the telephone. So the senior centers, you have to drop off flyers if you want to communicate certain ideas with them. With everyone else, we can do a 60-second video, post it on TikTok or Instagram, Facebook, and that's another way to communicate. But we have to meet the community where they're at, no matter what their communication form is. How will I coordinate with other council people? Just call them up. We're already communicating. I communicate with Jake. I communicate with Tom. I communicate with Rich. The same way we're currently communicating. I over communicate is my problem, and it always gets me into trouble too. But I feel like it's safer to over communicate than under. Thank you.
Okay, go to Tom.
Sorry. Yeah, so I kind of touched on this in the last answer as well. But when I say wanting to listen to everyone's opinion, I think it's important because the biggest problem we have when I go to meetings is no one knew, or they claim no one knew, or people didn't have an opportunity to voice an opinion. So again, it's our job as council people to make sure our public knows. It's not their job to find the information necessarily. It's our job to make sure the information is available to people, and in some cases to bring it directly to them. So that's something I would do. Again, with those monthly town hall meetings with a virtual option for those who can't make it in person. I have a community office, a campaign office on Newark Avenue. I'm going, if I'm successful in December 2nd, I'm going to keep that office and maintain a community office so our residents don't have to go find me at City Hall. I'll be out in the community, and I don't think everyone says they can't find me in Ward C. I usually attend most events. I also don't want to govern by pitchfork. And what I mean by that is we don't want to just listen to the loudest voices in the room, because those don't necessarily represent the majority opinion or the opinion that's accurate or correct. Because again, maybe it's based on misinformation, maybe it's based on anger or passion. We got to bring it back down to listen to experts. And the most prevalent way we see that is through infrastructure. We have engineers and public safety experts who we should be listening to about to make our streets safer, and those are the voices I want to advocate for. Of course, listen to everybody, but when it comes to street safety, pedestrian safety, cyclist safety, we're going to listen to our experts to make the streets safer. That's just one of many examples of how I would govern and engage the community.
All right, great. Now we're going to see a video from Rich Bogiano.
Unfortunately, there are no more newspapers, but one of the things I think we should do as a council person is attend the different block association meetings. And then the city should have an output of information on computers, maybe by Twitter, maybe by Facebook, or by any other means, and let people know what is going on. People have to be advised as to the issues that are affecting them and affecting their children, affecting their parents, the elderly parents, and the only way we're going to do that is by going to block meetings and by having the city publish literature or emails throughout the communities.
Okay, and Jake, finish this one.
Yeah. Listening is proactive. It's not reactive. I think there's a good consensus among all of us here that it takes actually work to make sure we're listening to the community. Central Avenue is this hub of our neighborhood. And like I said, I'm here in our Central Ave office. We have invested money to make sure the space is open to the community throughout the entire campaign since the spring, so that we could have that physical presence, that people could walk in and really participate in this campaign and get to know me directly. In addition, this campaign has knocked tens of thousands of doors to directly reach people where they're at home. And that's nothing new for me, right? Long before I was a candidate, I was knocking doors. And after this campaign on city council, I would continue to knock on doors and be out there visible in the community, directly making sure people are informed about community meetings and town halls that we have going on, are informed about particularly important city council meetings that we have going on, making sure that people are aware and have that direct invitation. So I know a lot of people complain not just about the literature being left at their doors during campaign season, but they'll say, this is the first time a candidate's ever shown up in 4 years. It's just around election time that these candidates come around and ask for votes. We're going to be continuing to do that door knocking all throughout time in office. In addition, I want to, just have like multiple languages represented in our council office, make sure that we're connecting with every community through snail mail, email, social media, monthly or even bi-monthly ward meetings. And also work collaboratively with the Ward C council person on the hottest issues of it, both from the reservoir to Saving Christ Hospital and making sure that we keep healthcare in our community.
Okay, great. Our next question is going to be on the school budget and oversight. Over the last few years, the Jersey City school budget has grown to over $1 billion. I think it's actually the second highest in the state behind Newark. And our property taxes and rents have also increased by over 30% during that time. Currently, only elected Board of Education members have authority over the school budget, which represents over 1/3 of residents' taxes. Given the budget size and its impact on residents, do you believe there should be any change in how the budget is overseen or coordinated with the City Council and Mayor? If not, please explain. If yes, what would that oversight look like? And this question goes to Tom. Start with you.
Great. Sorry, I have a very, very zoomed out puppy going on. Can you come back to me? I'm so sorry for that.
Yeah, not a problem. We'll watch the video from Rich Bogiano.
Talk about the school budget. We have to work together. The Board of Education and the City of Jersey City, especially the council. We have $1 billion budget, and it's ridiculous. There has to be somewhere that has to be reduced, and the taxpayers have to be, their taxes lowered. So we have to get into there, and we have to investigate and work along very well with the Board of Education and solve a lot of the issues that are going on today. I received numerous complaints about the taxes that were raised, and a great part of that tax raises were due to the Board of Education.
Okay. Tom, you ready?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's a dog-friendly show.
So I had resisted mayoral control of the school board previously, and I still do. And here's the reason why: it's because that's a lot of power for one person to have. For one person to have, and we see that with the mayoral appointments over the planning board, zoning board. You know, it's a one-person show. What I'd love to see instead is having encouraging more qualified people, getting a lot of qualified people to run for the school board. That way, we have someone who's going to be responsible with the budget. Obviously, the school budget formula too is something that needs to be reevaluated at the state level, because the experience of our kids in the Heights and Journal Square is different than the experience of kids downtown, or the kids in Greenville versus downtown. And we really need to evaluate the school funding. But I know this issue has come up before. Mayor Fulop proposed it, but I would not be in favor of mayoral appointment to the school board just because it's too much good power to have.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. All right. Now we're going to go with Jake. School budget.
Props to Tom for holding his composure as his dog was so active then. Yeah, so teachers, students, parents, community, we deserve a lot better. One place to start is the school funding formula at the state level. As a city council person, this is obviously outside of our direct jurisdiction, but we shouldn't be afraid to organize around and fight for things outside of our direct jurisdiction. Our schools have been underfunded. And we've been getting less from the state than we deserve because the school funding formula does not heavily enough weight poverty as a factor into the funding that we should be getting. So we should be coordinating and organizing, campaigning in Trenton with allies like our new state assembly person, Katie Brennan, to make sure that we win that. But here at the state level, obviously there is a budget crisis, and tax hikes that are going on shouldn't all just be blamed on the schools, but rather on decades and years and years and years of these sweetheart deals for corporate developers without those real community givebacks that we deserve from them, and years and years and years of city administrations passing the buck, kicking the can down the road of not actually doing a reval on property assessments, right? So I don't think that mayor and city council should have really have that role of like babysitting the BOE, but I think it would be really good for us to collectively do an audit of the school budget. Again, it's a participatory budgeting kind of transparency principle that I think we should take into the schools as well. And, I would be a really proactive person in facilitating those kinds of meetings, facilitating community meetings between BOE and parents, teachers, students. I would be excited to play that role, even if it's outside of our technical job description. But I don't think that the mayor or city council should have that kind of direct oversight over what does and doesn't go into our school budget.
Okay, great. Now we'll go to Catherine.
Thank you. So it seems like there's communication problems with the Board of Ed, the city, the council, the mayor, the public, because the Board of Ed is dealing with issues that we have no idea what those issues are. We're not privy to the special education funding. What are we paying for out of district placement? We don't have these details. I do think it would be beneficial to maybe have 2 appointed seats, which I think is something similar to what Senator McCurgy had proposed. He had proposed a hybrid board. I think it would be great to have 2. The mayor appoints 1 liaison on the Board of Ed, and then the city council appoints their own liaison. So then they are privy to exactly what's going on in the meetings and in those budgets, so that if they do need intervention, we can intercede. We can reach out to our assembly person to go ask Trenton for this. We can get a coalition together to go down to Trenton and lobby for more funding for our sports program or our science program or after school tutoring. Again, it's a lack of communication. So I think a hybrid board would be nice. We need better diplomacy in Trenton and better organization. Thank you.
Okay. Our next question is we're going to go on the topic of retaining families in the Heights. Young families are moving to the Heights, in particular in large numbers. What have you heard are the greatest challenges for families in keeping them in the Heights long term? What is your plan to address these challenges, or better yet, is family retention part of your plan? We will start with Richard's video.
I had a meeting with several people, and they were talking about they just moved into the city a year or so ago. They have young children, and they are thinking of moving out of the city now. And I said, why do you want to move out? They talk about education. Then private schools, the tuitions are astronomical. We have to keep the young people here, especially the ones that are having children, and have them be able to educate their children here in our public schools or our private schools. But the tuitions in private schools have gotten to be astronomical. So if you want to keep the young people here, we have to take care of them, and we have to be able to lower taxes. We have to be able to have their children attend the schools, the public school system here. We have great teachers in this city here, and it's a shame that we're paying $1 billion in taxes.
Okay. Next, we will go with Jake.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen friends get priced out of Jersey City. It's really tough. This is the main crisis that we have to tackle as a community and as a city, and the, number one priority for me on city council. These abatements, and again, decades of kicking the can down the road as we're giving all of these developers so much money and kicking the can down the road with the reval that needed to be done. It's been killing us. And into the 2050s, we are going to have to be dealing with these abatements. So one, we got to negotiate as many of those as possible, open up the books, make sure we're getting all the community give backs that we possibly can for them, but also making sure that we have universal rent control for every single tenant in Jersey City, expanding our Code 260, which caps rent increases at 4% or cost of living increase, whichever is lower, so that every tenant is able to have that kind of security to stay here. Because I don't see the renter community as dangerous. I see this as part of our city, 70% of us. Also making sure that every single homeowner is able to afford to stay here by managing our budget smartly and by really attacking these excessive and egregious tax breaks. Now, the schools, it's a shame PTAs are having to raise all this money at PS8 and PS28 just as we speak for playgrounds. Basic as that. This goes back to the school funding formula at the state level, and also the payroll tax. Here, we need to be really aggressive in enforcing the payroll tax and getting those biggest businesses to pay into our budget. Lastly, I'll just say, in terms of family retention, it's so heartbreaking. Eli Bender, who was killed earlier this year because of the lack of street safety. It was said at this last meeting downtown that Eli Bender's family is considering moving out of Jersey City just because this is too hard for them to continue to bear. Having safe streets, having streets for us, not for speeding cars, this is a critical part of retaining families here too.
Great. Catherine, on retaining families in the Heights.
Yes. So this has essentially been my whole platform. This is why I'm running. I'm running because the city's no longer affordable. We almost got pushed out of Jersey City about 8 years ago, and then we were able to find a property like just before it went through the roof. Otherwise, there's no way I would be able to afford to live in Jersey City right now if we didn't invest 8 years ago. And everyone should be able to have the opportunity to invest in a home. We need to bring that back. It's not fair to these renters who are paying affordable housing to corporate landlords to the tune of $4,000 a month. No family can afford that. That's not affordable. So there's so much we need to do. We need to improve our parks. Luckily, in the Heights, we do have excellent middle schools, grammar schools. Our middle schools could do a little better. Our middle school kids do end up in the excellent magnet high schools, but we need to do better with our high school. We need to do better with our middle school. So as our schools do improve, more and more families will stay and decide to raise their families here. That's how we build communities. That's how we build safer streets. That's how we build better schools. We also need to support development that promotes homeownership and not just promotes more tenancies with pariah corporate landlords who are overcharging our tenants. We also need to start opening up our public schools and public playgrounds after school hours. We can't just keep these public properties locked up. We have to go back to using open gyms, get these kids off the streets, get them active, get them off screens, get them socializing and communicating again. I mean, these are all essential points to a flourishing community. Thank you.
Okay. And Tom.
Thank you again for your patience with Kennedy. She wanted to remind me that I need to advocate for a dog run at Pershing Field. So I will.
Of course.
No, I always say I'm living and breathing the Ward C experience, and this topic is one of those, is a prime example of that. So my wife and I live, like I said, we live in Journal Square. We're renters. I had been living in the Greenville section when I met her. That's where my family's from originally, and she was living downtown. We kind of met in the middle. But and our roots are here, and we're staying in Jersey City. The die's been cast there. But for people who are similarly situated, the issues are obviously cost of living. The affordable units that get built are $2,000 a month studios. Those aren't affordable for people who need affordability, which traditionally are people with kids or families, or they need more space. The lack of quality of life is something we always hear about. The quality of our schools, and while our teachers are doing the best they can with what they have, the schools need to be better invested in and that money from the school budget, which touched on our last question, needs to be better invested in our public schools too. And when we talk about a lack of amenities, I mean, parks, playgrounds, recreation programs, after school programs. Catherine just touched on it a bit herself in her answer, but all those are lacking and are prime examples that we lose young families to the suburbs. And it's not just young people, with the city becoming unaffordable and our senior population thankfully aging long and living longer, we need to look at senior housing too, so people can afford to stay in their communities, which is the number one concern. Obviously, everyone's talking about it, but I'm proud to have been an advocate on affordability for several years, and will intend to implement that as council person. We need to give people reasons to stay, and it starts with affordability. It starts with quality of life, and there's so much we can do that's not getting done currently, but should be.
Okay. We're going to go to our last question on mobility. We would like to understand the type of mobility plan you will advocate for in the Heights. How do we properly connect the Heights to its direct neighbors, Journal Square, and downtown? Please speak to your view of a north-south bike lane, limited parking, and heavy car reliance, and the rapid bus lane JFK project. We will start with Jake. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, one of the biggest complaints I hear in terms of public transit in the Heights is, where the heck is the 86 bus? This is a bus that almost never arrives, and it's the line that's supposed to get between the Heights and downtown. So it's a real shame. What we're fighting for is a municipal transit council that uses the power of our local government to really proactively expand the power that we have already achieved through amazing local advocates doing this work. Just the past week or so, we had a really groundbreaking announcement from the Port Authority in terms of the service increases that are going to be scheduled over the next few years due to advocates doing this work. Imagine if we actually had our local government supporting them. They were able to get from what was once a non-starter to some really significant improvements because of advocacy. So our municipal transit council is going to put commuters, advocates, riders together to win more of what we deserve from NJ Transit and Port Authority. So that's one thing. And then really also long-term, let's be imaginative, let's be visionary, let's think of what it would mean to expand the light rail, to even expand PATH. Like, let's have those services meet the needs of the dense working class place that we live in Jersey City. I'm a total yes for bus rapid transit on the boulevard. I think that's critical. I'm a yes to north-south bike lanes that are protected, and in addition to increasing that mass transit in those corridors. I'm a yes to promoting some more car-free options for our neighbors, so that more and more people can actually have alternatives to single passenger vehicles, and we can reduce parking congestion and reduce traffic congestion too. In addition, basic stuff like parking space delineation can help with freeing up that parking congestion, but really we know we have to give those alternatives through mass transit. Finally, in mobility, I'm a yes to really cracking down on paving these roads. It seems like only in an election year can we get this stuff done. We have to work between election years to have our roads paved, safe, smooth for all of our residents.
Okay. And now, Catherine.
Thank you. So I think everybody agrees with bus rapid transit, and it's my understanding that that has already been in the beginning stages of being rolled out on Kennedy Boulevard. I believe that was announced in July that the study was starting for that process, but it's not as simple as rolling out the program. It requires cooperation from law enforcement or from auxiliary police, because as you know, when you ride down Kennedy Boulevard right now, it's essentially a one-lane road heading south or a one-lane road heading north because of all of the double parking. This is not going to succeed in the current state. So we need enforcement. We need smooth roads. We need, we could use, as I said a few months ago, there is a lot of UEZ funding out there that is available for transportation. We could do a trolley system or a bus system, a jitney system that would connect the Heights to, say, downtown, or wherever we don't have a New Jersey Transit bus route, because we don't want to hurt New Jersey Transit more than they already are hurting. So we wouldn't have a competing bus lane with New Jersey Transit, but have this UEZ trolley running in a direction that the citizens want the most. In addition to, again, those elevated bike and pedestrian lanes. We're going to do that. This is not a pipe dream.
Okay. Tom.
Yeah, we certainly need, thank you. We certainly need our federal and state representatives to advocate for better path and NJ Transit service respectively. But that doesn't mean the city should be sitting on our hands either. We can be proactive and help out NJ Transit improve its service. So Bus Rapid Transit is a great example of that, where they've assured, and we should hold their feet to the fire, they've assured the infrastructure department that if we put Bus Rapid Transit on Summit and Baldwin for the one-way conversion, that they'll be able to increase their bus service. At the very least, they should make it more efficient. And that's something that, we have more people living in Jersey City than we've ever had in our history. And we need to give people options to get around it in a way that doesn't include cars, right? Because traffic and congestion is out of control. But you can't expect traffic to get any better if we don't have, have efficient bus service or better path service or even light rail in other parts of the city too. And when I talked about connectivity earlier, what I mean again is, because we're running for office, we think of Jersey City as 6 different wards, but when we think of that as one city, trying to get from one end of the city to the other, and how best can we do that safely, that's when we need to start thinking about the Baldwin Summit conversion, Bus Rapid Transit, and the plan's current iteration doesn't lose any parking. So for those that are concerned about losing parking by having a bike lane or a Bus Rapid Transit lane on Baldwin or Summit, that same spot, you'll be fighting for the same amount of spots you're fighting for now. And that's not going to be a concern there. But we need to get people around our city and out of our city into our city a lot more efficiently.
Okay, great. All right, everyone. We're going to start to move on now to our closing statements. We're going to start with Catherine. Good to go on your closing statement?
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for giving us your time this evening. Following up on what Tom just indicated, the traffic in Jersey City has been out of control. And I do think that's another reason why people are getting forced out of the city. We have to use our civil engineers and we have to fix the traffic situation. So I would love to be remembered as an independent, free thinker, transformative, a critical force for good, helping out our neighbors. I'd love to get civics back into our schools so our children learn to be more civic minded, more service oriented, more willing to help their neighbor. And we're going to get those elevated bike and pedestrian lanes rolling. I want to hear from our engineers. I want to hear from our artists. I want to hear from other transformative thinkers who have an idea on how we're going to get this rolled out the same way they have in Europe and Singapore. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Now we're going to move on to Tom, your closing statement.
Yeah, thank you again so much for hosting us today. It meant a lot to be here and answer wonderful questions, obviously very thorough. I'm looking forward to December 2nd. When I started in my introductory remarks saying that the choice in this runoff election in Ward C couldn't be clearer between an old way of doing things and a new way, what I mean is, and I have the utmost respect for Councilman Boggiano and his service to our city, it's just that when we have the same amount of problems without any improvements that we had 12 years ago or 4 years ago, and those persist, it's time for a change. And I haven't always been on the right side of things. I really did think working with him and with Mayor Fulp would have been more productive for Ward C. And it was to a degree focusing on affordability and quality of life issues until it wasn't. But now the time for change is here, right? And we need someone who's going to bring energy to the position and have a focus on the future, not the past. So I would want to be remembered as the councilman who was always available, brought that high energy, forward-looking thinking, positivity, as someone who kept my word and got things done, who didn't take any crap, but was always willing to work with people and listen to voices and kind of come to solutions. not just identify problems, but work together to make things better for our citizens. As someone who has an independent mind, and will always fight for our residents, and at the end of the day, do what I think in my heart is best for our ward, for our city, for my family, and for yours. And that's why I would ask you to vote for me on December 2nd. Thank you.
Okay, great. Now we're just going to watch the video of Rich Bogiano on mobility, and then I will read his closing statement.
To be honest with you, when they put the light rail system in a few years ago, they should have ran it down Kennedy Boulevard, down Montgomery Street to Exchange Place. That would have taken a lot of traffic off the streets. Then we have them knocking down what they did to Bergen Avenue, what they did to Summit Avenue, where they've reduced from 2 lanes to 1 lane. You can't do that. They're building and say, well, where people moving into the city are not going to have cars. That's not so. People have cars, and we have to start building parking garages. We need parking garages. We need people to be able to park their cars at night. We need people to be able to travel through the city and not spend a half hour to go a quarter of a mile. I go from here sometimes, my house on Magnolia, to City Hall in the morning. It takes me 40 minutes to 45 minutes because the traffic is so backed up. And I ask the question, where's our traffic police? We do not have a traffic division in this city. We do not have enough cops. We need traffic enforcement. Talking about a north to south bike lane, I'm willing to sit down with different organizations and different groups and work this issue out where everybody is satisfied. We cannot just have planning come along and tell us this is what they're doing. People have to be involved. In fact, this came up tonight at the city council, and we brought it up again at the caucus meeting, and we brought it up again. People have to be advised, they have to have input, and this will work out to appease everybody.
Okay, I will now read the closing remarks of Rich Bogiano. Thank you for allowing me to participate in making it available to me. I apologize I cannot be there in person, but hope we can meet in person on a more personal level. I represent real people, especially people who feel they have no one to turn to. People want to turn to someone who will fight for them. I am that person. I am not using this position for a higher office other than to help the people in my community. Every day you will find me at City Hall or with my grandchildren at school and church. And every day I will fight for you and your family. And Jake, last closing remarks and how you will be remembered.
Yeah, thanks again for this opportunity. I'm really grateful that I've had the opportunity to run as an independent candidate here in Ward D for this whole campaign and to be here in the runoff with some other great candidates here too. I want to be remembered for putting more working class people in power in Jersey City, plain and simple. Someone who's accountable to working class people in Ward D families, not accountable to corporate donors like the Kushner developers, right? Someone who works tirelessly, not only to pass legislation that helps us, but to actually grow the movement of ordinary people, taking matters into our own hands. From helping build tenant unions throughout our neighborhood to organizing for our labor unions to take on tough fights and actually win more of what our workers deserve. To also trusting our whole community with the transparency of how our city runs and where our budget is going. Someone who's really available, whether it be at my office here on Central Ave that hopefully we can keep after this election is over, but also walking up and down the Ave, maybe eating an Andrea Salomaria sandwich over at Pershing Field. Someone who's here in the community, available and ready to work to put working class people in power. Thank you so much again for this opportunity. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all to of our candidates for your participation and everyone watching. Your civic engagement shapes the future of Jersey City. Don't forget to vote on December 2nd, next Tuesday. Your local vote matters. They're going to be open early up until late at night. Please participate. Thank you all again.
Thank you, Matt.